Hey, and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. This is Chad from Ascension Worship. This week we talk about the wonder box for the bass guitar, the Tech21 Sansamp.
Hey, what do you say? Yes, it's that time again. It's Tech Tuesday.
So the Sansamp is basically the wonder box for the bass guitar. It's a DI made for bass that emulates as if you're going through a nice amplifier. But it gets rid of the amplifier on stage if you want, and it just sounds great without a lot of stage noise. It's pretty awesome. It gives you some drive settings and some EQ and all the things that you need to just kind of give your bass a little bit of that something special to help it to blend into the mix. So if you're a bass player, or if you know a bass player that could use a little bit of something to their sound, this is a great thing to work with. So let's take a look at some of the settings and see what you can do with it. So looking at the Sansamp here, we've got some pretty basic controls. We've got a master level control that's at the very end of your chain. You've got a blend control, which all the way down where it is right now, you're not hearing the drive or some of the EQ. And when it's all the way up, you're hearing the entire circuitry, specifically the drive. You've got a treble, a bass, and a presence EQ. And then again, you've got your drive. The drive is what really makes the Sansamp special and gives it that nice tonal characteristic that works well. Sounds kind of like a real amp. It's pretty amazing. Well, here's my bass with essentially no Sansamp circuitry happening on it. Not terrible sounding, but just not really popping in the mix usually when it's in a live environment. It can tend to sound a bit thin and a bit mid-rangey sometimes. This is a standard Mexican jazz bass with single coil pickups that came stock standard. Nothing really crazy happening with the bass. So that's the tone with nothing on it. What I'm going to do is first blend in the circuitry, and you're probably not going to hear a huge difference because it drives down. Okay, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to turn up our drive. I'm going to start at halfway, and it's going to get a little bit louder. So as I turn it up, I'm going to turn my level down just so I don't distort anything. So you hear already it sounds a lot richer, a lot fuller. It's got a little bit of grit on the top end, and if you really dig in the bottom end, so you can hear, again, here's with the level down, I'm sorry, the blend down. That's me just kind of digging in the top end. Now I'll put the blend back at 100%. It's got a bit of grit on there. At 50%, you get a little bit of grit on the bottom end if you really dig in hard. But it's nothing crazy that sticks out. So that's usually about where I start with my tone. And just to show you what it can do, I'm going to take the drive all the way up to the extremes. So that's a bit much for most modern worship scenarios, but there is a Sansamp version that has multiple settings where that might be cool if you want to do it. But again, today's about getting a starting point, so I'm going to put us at 12 o'clock. And the EQ sounds pretty good right away, but I'm going to give it just a little bit of bottom end boost. And then this bass, if you notice, has a bit of a noise problem sometimes. Again, it's from single coil pickups. It's nothing crazy, but that's where the presence knob can come in. If I turn it all the way up, you're going to see it's going to get a lot of finger noise, a lot of presence. Don't really need that. All the way down, it's going to sound a bit dull. but a lot of those frequencies you're not going to necessarily need in a standard mix. I usually like to have mine just slightly below 12 o'clock. And again, some of that's going to change if you have different pedals in front of it. And then treble, I usually use that to adjust up or down for the amount of attack I want in my strings. If they're older strings, I might give it a little bit more so it's got a bit more bite to it. That's at 3 o'clock. So that's again a bit much, especially for me. I tend to dig in and get a lot of finger noise when I'm playing. Here's the opposite. Here's at 9 o'clock. Now I find it's best to err on the side of caution and maybe have a little bit too much, because your sound engineer can always cut out what he or she does not need later on, but it's kind of hard for them to add it in. So again, around 12 o'clock, maybe a slight cut. And it just really makes the bass sound way, way better. Any bass I've ever plugged into one of these has sounded better. It just might be different on how much of each knob you're going to use. Again, these are passive single coil pickups, so I can get away with this drive setting on here. If you're running an active bass, you might have to run it a little bit lower because it's going to distort at a lower volume. But yeah, check it out. I think it's a great product. I think it's going to really help your team to just get to that next level in sound. Again, this is Chad from Ascension Worship. I hope this has been helpful for you and your team. Come back here every Tuesday for new information.